Oh, this is great. It is a blue-white control deck. I'm not sure I'd want to be on Kevin's side of this. Yeah, Kevin's down a game to Myles. This is Snapcaster, Vendilion Click, Jace, Bellerin, Gideon Jura, Elspeth, Sun's Champion.
Sounds like you named a bunch of cards I can mana leak.
How about 3 Supreme Verdicts?
Can't mana leak that one. Gotta respect that one on the table.
Kevin starts the game with a Ancestral Vision.
Looks like
it
there's
ticks
a
down to 3.
raisin or a chocolate-covered peanut or something on the Ancestral Vision. All right, how about some suspend counters?
Myles won game 1. Why is Kevin on the draw? Kevin's Ancestral Vision ticks down to 3. Looks like on the play here, now Kevin will Thought Scour on Myles' end step. So no action so far other than Ancestral Visions from Kevin.
He's got a mana leak in hand he'll be able to use to back that up, depending on what's in Myles' hand. I like Kevin's start here.
Now, one thing, if you haven't watched, and you should, the Dallas Open that Kevin won, we saw him play some matches against Pete Ingram. And one of the difficulties was that as the game went late, Kevin would fall behind Pete Ingram, mainly because of the fact that Kevin doesn't have Colonnades.
Yep.
Do you expect a similar dynamic here where Kevin has to aggro at some point?
Well, the fact that Myles does not have red spells actually makes a big difference. You can already see it on the table. You have to board Delver of Secrets out against Jeskai. He can be the aggressor in this matchup much more easily.
Yeah, Delver of Secrets flips into Insectile Aberration and swings for 3, both pairs at 17. So, yes, Kevin has to be the aggro deck, but he's way happier doing it.
Yep. And Kevin does not have to commit a second creature here, so if Myles' answer is Supreme Verdict, it's going to be a 4-mana spell trading for a 1-mana spell. I would not expect Kevin to commit further into a Verdict.
Yeah, when you look at the removal spells from Myles, he's got 4 Paths to Exile. He does have 2 copies of Condemn in the deck, which seems like they would be good here.
Yeah, Condemn is strong. It's another removal spell that you can't Spell Snare.
Yeah, it doesn't give Kevin a land.
And the life does not matter.
Kevin Thought Scouring for his land drop. And we have Vendilion Click here from Myles.
I like Vendilion Click here quite a bit. Doesn't necessarily need to block. You know, his body is solid. He's not even sure if the spell is going to resolve.
Yeah, this is all in Kevin's end step. Kevin Thought Scoured himself during his turn to hit the land drop, hit it, and now Myles goes for an EOT. Click. Kevin will terminate. Click resolves. Tasigur, Mana Leak, Counter Squall.
So I really like that Kevin did not cast Tasigur. As I was saying earlier, Supreme Verdict would just wreck him for no reason. He doesn't have to play into that. The rest of his hand's actually pretty good. If I'm Myles, I'm taking that Counter Squall because it's going to be able to defend Kevin's Ancestral Vision on the following turn against really anything. And that is, in fact, the pick that Myles is going to take here as we go back to Myles' turn.
Colonnade is the play for Myles, and he passes.
And he does have Supreme Verdict.
See if Kevin will commit farther. He does have the Tasigur. Kevin's going to now go for that Ancestral Vision. We'll see if we get a fight. And Myles will go for Negate. Here's the Mana Leak.
And Kevin cycled his Counter Squall into another Mana Leak, though Myles did not continue the Counter War.
So Myles fought that war knowing he'd lose it?
Yep. Perhaps concerned about Kevin having the Mana Leak in hand, perhaps has a Haymaker, like a Gideon Jura on his following turn to cast.
Okay, he's trying to clear the way for a walker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little confused why he'd want to fight it if he knew he would lose.
Once the vision resolves, it's likely that Kevin has 2 counter spells in hand.
Sure. We go back to Myles Housman. He draws up to 4 cards in his hand. 14 life apiece. Myles makes land 6. He's got the mana advantage, but he's down on cards.
And that's a problem. especially with his spells just cost so much. His deck is so much weaker to Mana Leak. 6 mana is a lot, but it's not enough to pay for a 4 mana spell. The Celestial Colonnade is not trivial though.
Timely reinforcements from Myles. He fetched down to 13 before casting it, so this is a fully loaded reinforcement. So it'll be 6 life and 3 creatures.
Smart.
So 3 1/1s for Myles. He passes back to Kevin, leaving 3 up.
And Kevin probably would have liked to actually found a 5th land off of his Ancestral Vision.
Yeah, he's got a lot of cards, but he can't play them. He swings and puts Myles down to 16. And this is nice. Now that Myles is willing to commit 3 1/1s to the board, now Kevin will play the Tassiger.
Yeah, force Supreme Verdict action if it's there. He's just ahead on board. Doesn't want to just lose to these 1/1s if he doesn't have to. And wants to still be able to attack with the Delver on this turn.
Yeah, the Supreme Verdict management from Myles' side is very interesting this game. Wants to commit enough, but not too much.
So Kevin has an Ancestral Vision in his hand, and I liked not committing it last turn because he only has access to the 2 blue mana. But because he's already tapped down to 3 mana, I'm curious why he didn't suspend it on this turn.
Myles goes for Gideon Jura. Does this resolve? This is a huge play by Myles if it works.
You can't not fight over this if you're Kevin.
Mana Leak, and that just counters it straight out. Myles' hand was Supreme Verdict, Cryptic Command, Gideon Jura. Looks like Kevin's going to go for Thought Scour, so maybe that's why he doesn't suspend. He needs the land now and wants to play the cantrip.
Yeah, perhaps thinks his hand is just too weak now if a couple turns pass and he has to commit that Mana Leak there and needs some kind of backup.
All right, so draws off the Scour, draws for turn. We go back over to Jones, and the creatures start attacking again. Housman in chump blocking mode puts a 1/1 in front of the Tassiger, but he takes 3, dropping back down to 13. Draw is land number 7. Swing of 2 1/1s.
Always attack before wrath.
Then Supreme Verdict. They both go. Kevin, as you note there, did not activate the Tassiger, so he has other plans in mind.
He's cooking something up.
Let's see what it is. Kolaghan's Command. Discard.
Get back Tassiger.
Get back Tassiger, so Myles loses a Hallowed Fountain, and now is down to 1 card. Just the Cryptic Command, no mana to cast it. Kevin's pulling ahead here, but you got to watch that clock right now. It's going to become a concern for Kevin Jones very quickly.
Yeah. Might be fighting for the draw here.
Replays the Tassiger that he bought back. And Kevin knows it. Look how he's picked up his pace.
You see him exiling creatures from the graveyard. When you activate Tassiger from this position, you don't want more creatures. He's not trying to commit further into a Supreme Verdict. He wants this threat to stick and to ride this Tassiger to victory. He also already has backup Delver.
Yeah, tons of cards in hand. So he will cast the Tassiger. Yeah, you see Delver, Ancestral Visions. Does he want to play either of them? Sure. Looks like he'll suspend the Visions.
I certainly agree with suspending Visions here. He chooses not to do it, though.
It's fine. He'll just pass. He's left up Terminate. Here's Gideon, ally of Zendikar. Myles will try for a different Gideon. Does this one work?
Well, this one is much less good than the other one, though.
The one from Battle for Zendikar. Not something we see too often in Modern. We saw some play in Abzan for a while. Really interesting choice for the blue-white deck, though. It'll make a 2/2 to block. And yeah, Kevin, no problem. He'll terminate it away. He's going to just attack down the Planeswalker and move on.
Yep.
Draw. Can he hit a land? There we go. There's land 5. Tassiger takes down the Gideon. Kevin with 5 mana up will pass. Myles just with 1 Cryptic in hand and 1 Colonnade in play, draws and sends the turn right back to Kevin Jones. And now he'll activate Tassiger. A land and a Delver into the graveyard. He's going to get a card back. Myles didn't get a catch which one he gave him. We'll get to that one as soon as we can, though. Looks like Thought Scour. So Tassiger swings again. Myles going to drop to 9. Here's the Ancestral Vision suspended. Kevin passes. Cryptic Command to bounce draw off the Tasigur. See if Kevin wants to fight over that. There's a Spell Snare as Myles' final card. Kevin's going to fight with Snapcaster Mage, but I bet that's going to be snared.
Yeah.
Mana Leak is spell snared instead. He spell snared the card that Kevin flashed back.
So it's a greedy choice. The justification is if Myles finds Supreme Verdict or Snapcaster to Supreme Verdict here, he gets a payoff in that way. The Mana Leak is out of the graveyard, and the Snapcaster is still dealt with.
Draws Rest in Peace, so the gamble did not work out, but he'll still get Kevin's whole graveyard as he plays it. Gonna make it very hard for Kevin to recast that Tasigur. It's first Myles Timely Reinforcements and then Rest in Pieces.
I don't know about very hard. Looks like we're getting up to 6 lands here.
Yeah, maybe not very hard, more just time. It's gonna take longer.
Paying full retail.
Yeah. 3 1/1s for Myles, he's back up to 15.
Or you can just spell snare the Rest in Peace. That's also fine.
Okay. Well, that seems like the preferred one.
Yeah.
I guess what Myles is playing toward is if he can top deck something like Elspeth Sun's Champion next turn and land it. Oh, wow. Okay, let's go back to that Timely Reinforcements. You notice that Myles still at 9. In response to Timely, Kevin fetched for a shock to go to 9 and tie Myles on life to deny him the life gain.
I like it. I like it because it's a good play, you see.
Yeah, it's just right.
Yeah, there's some interesting tricks around Timely Reinforcements in Modern, to be sure. You want to have your head up when that spell's on the stack.
Recast of Tasigur by Kevin, a play of Delver. You see him getting more and more aggressive as he feels the clock winding down.
And the only card he's worried about here is specifically Supreme Verdict. He's got some really great counter magic in his hand.
Activate a Colonnade for Myles. He's going to do it into Kevin's open mana and cards in hand, but that's the play he has. And he's just hoping Kevin can't do anything. But that's not a good hope at all. Kevin will go ahead and cast Snapcaster, then terminate. He'll try to terminate the Colonnade, but Myles dispels with that last mana.
And Kevin wisely making that play before the Colonnade is declared as an attacker.
So he's still at 9. Does Delver flip? It does, and off Electrolyze. Kevin's just going to race him right back.
Yep.
Here's the 3/2 flyer. He has an Insectile Aberration, 2 Snapcaster Mages, and a Tasigur. He's going to Electrolyze away 2 of the blockers. Draw a card. And this is a lethal swing if he swings the whole team. And he'll do just that.
And it would force a chump block on the Tasigur.
Yep, Tasigur will chump. Myles will go to 1. No less point of damage for Kevin, but he's going to get it on the next turn. Myles draws its Ghost Quarter. We're on to game number 3. The players are going to go back to shuffling as they try to finish the match here. 9:40 on the clock. Shuffling, sideboarding, presenting, maybe 8 minutes tops they're going to have for the third game. Walk me through it. What are they going to do here?
Don't mess around with shuffling too long, I can tell you that. Don't look at your sideboard. Get that deck on the table. For Myles, he wants to get a Planeswalker on the table as fast as possible. Getting an ally as Zendikar is probably the way that he closes the game faster than the other way. Maybe get a Vendilion Click on the table, something like that. For Kevin Jones, the turn 1 Delver is what this is all about. A turn 2 Tasigur, also something that the deck is very capable of, would be excellent here. Just needs to get on the table as fast as possible, both players.
Kevin, you're defending champion right now on the SCG Tour in Modern. Looking the part there with his Metagame Gurus jersey there. You know, he's part of that team which has dominated Modern so much. But you too can look the part of a pro with the SCG t-shirt sale. You can look like Tom Ross, SCG pro of his own. These are the official shirt of StarCityGames.com, a cotton poly blend made in the USA. They are available at StarCityGames.com/apparel for purchase.
Yeah, we should be so lucky to look like Tom Ross, but we can at least wear the same t-shirt.
Go back to the match here between Myles, Housman, and Kevin Jones. Getting ready for a deciding third game. Hands are drawing. It looks like we're going to have 7 minutes on the clock here. Players would love to avoid a draw. Myles on the play, starts out. Now, this clock is accurate. He'll suspend Ancestral Visions with 4 counters going to 19. Basic Island, pass. You see Kevin, he'll match Visions for Vision.
Call. Kevin is winning by 1 life point.
But this kind of gameplay is the kind of, I mean, it's a great start from both decks, but, whoa, man, 7 minutes is not a lot for this.
Nope.
Back over to Myles. Second land, go. Kevin ticks down. Players do not want to miss land drops here. Watery Grave for Kevin Jones. And see, this is where Myles should just slam a Geist of St. Traft and catch Kevin off guard. Say, ha-ha!
Yeah, if you're Kevin, you're probably just supposed to pay 2 life for that Watery Grave.
If Myles doesn't have them, but if he did and played one there.
He's playing timely reinforcements and your life just doesn't matter.
But right, yeah, I mean, because you could actually lose the game to that, right? If Myles just slammed a Geist.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're just,
you're dead. You're dead.
4th land, though, for Myles. None of that happened. They're both just going to sit around as their Ancestral Visions tick down.
This is some fast-paced magic.
They have made it to turn 4 in 1 minute. That is, for this matchup, that is fast-paced.
Well, turn 1 through 4, not a lot usually happens in this matchup.
You have to decide what lands to fetch and what order to play them in.
Sure do.
That's about it. Kevin, now his Visions to 1. It's his 4th turn. Will he make a play? Eventually, we may see a player go for some sort of end-step threat. A Snapcaster Mage, a Vendilion Click, something like that.
Yep, a lot of magic in this matchup just happens at the end step.
Kevin shocks down to 17 for Steam Vents, but he does not cast anything. He just passes to Myles.
And Kevin's probably aiming to fight a counter war over this Ancestral Vision. If Myles had a Vendilion Click, this would be a great window to cast it. Well, so much for that.
Here's the Visions from Myles. Kevin's going to try to remand it. Dispel on the remand for Myles.
Ruh-roh.
Well, this is a fight that Kevin somewhat wants, right? If he gets Myles to tap out here, it's not so... If Myles wins the war but has to tap out and doing it, that's not so bad.
Well, the issue is this spell can't be mana leaked here. So if that was a tool that Kevin had, it's one less option he has to fight the counter war.
Kevin Thought Scars himself, hoping to hit another Dispel, but he does not. So the Visions will resolve. Myles draws 3, and now Kevin's tapped low. Myles will play Ghost Quarter, and here's his play. It's Gideon, ally of Zendikar. The battle for Zendikar Planeswalker. Plays it on turn 5, makes a 2/2, and passes. Kevin's going to have to answer.
This is what you would call a bad spot for Jones. And just draws Counter Squall off of his Vision. That's got to feel bad.
If he has Hero's Downfall, he's fine, right?
Yeah. Doesn't have much cleanup beyond that if he has the Downfall. But he has some work to do for now.
3 mana. Is it the Downfall? It is the one of in the main. Takes care of the ally of Zendikar. Kevin refuels, and now we are back to even. 4 minutes in the match remaining. And Myles now back to finding threats. Swings for 2 with the Knight. Plays a Colonnade. Kevin to 15.
All right, and Kevin has at least that 1 Counter Squall as well. Things could turn around here in just a few short turns.
Now a pass here we go to Kevin. He's going to go get a fetch, get a land on the end step. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Players 15, 14 make it for Kevin Jones, 18 for Myles Housman.
Something you'll notice about Kevin's sideboarding in these blue mirrors, he cuts Lightning Bolt. You saw him look through the deck there. He doesn't have that. So he has to deal with this 2/2 in a different fashion.
Sure.
He wants to get ahead with something like a Tassiger or a Gourmet Angler, but he won't be able to just Lightning Bolt the 2/2.
Well, they are on a 7-minute game. Chance that Kevin's boarded some of them back in?
Didn't look like I saw any when we fanned over the deck.
Fair enough. It's Delver of Secrets for Kevin, though. That's a threat, but it's going to get passed to exiled by Housman. Kevin will get an extra land off it, but no threat as the 2/2 will continue to go to work. They play. As Kevin gets the land, Myles takes his turn. 2/2 swings in. That'll drop Kevin down to 12 if it works, and Myles plays another Colonnade. It's his 2nd Colonnade and his 7th land. He's chipping away, but will it be enough? 2:40 now on the clock. So we go back over to Jones. Now at a mana advantage thanks to that path to exile, even though it is a slim one. And we'll see he fires off. Gurmag Angler for a full delve, tapping just a single black to play the 5/5. He'll exile away 6 cards. Looks like he's leaving Remand and Hero's Downfall in the graveyard.
I like it. Good play, good delving.
All right, it's delved. Now, does Myles let it resolve? 2 minutes, 10 seconds on the clock. He's got Logic Knot, Negate, Condemn, Cryptic.
Yeah, he's got some tools to fight here. Kevin has some tools to fight back, though.
Yeah, but there's only so much blue mana. Never mind, there's Mystic Gate for Myles, so he has 5 blue sources. He can actually do everything. Logic Knot, from Myles, Counter Squall from Kevin, negate on the Counter Squall from Myles. But no, does Kevin insist?
He's got another Counter Squall in hand.
He does. If he plays it, though, he will be shields down on Myles' turn. Big decision for Jones, but he's going to want to make it quick. Minute 30 remaining. Second Counter Squall on the negate. That's a counter war. Kevin wins it. Myles takes 2 off the Counter Squall. Off both Counter Squalls, goes to 14, and Angler resolves. We're back to Housman, 14 and 12. The draw for Myles was Jace Bellerin. His hand, Cryptic, Jace.
So, interestingly, Kevin's biggest worry on this turn was actually just Myles going to work with that Celestial Colonnade. That 4 chip shot could have been quite powerful here, and Kevin did tap off Terminate. Though the Jace Bellerin will help in the attrition war here for sure.
Jace draws Myles a card, and then he passes the turn. Kevin's going to swing with the 5/5. I almost wondered whether Myles would use the Cryptic just to bounce the beast back to Kevin's hand, but he did not. He's leaving it up as a counterspell, and here comes the 5/5. It's a Condemn for Myles, but no counterspell backup because his counters all cost 4 here. Or correction, he drew a negate off the Jace. He has backup for the Condemn. And he may need it. Kevin's going to go for a Snapcaster Mage. He's going to attempt to Counter Squall the Condemn. But no, Myles insists he will negate the Counter Squall. Condemn hits the Angler. Kevin gains 5, but loses his threat. Down to just 30 seconds until time in the round as Kevin suspends an Ancestral Visions.
This vision might come off in turns. I don't think there'll be enough turns in this game for this to happen, though.
No, Myles wants to get some attacks in if he can. A draw off Jace, land. He's going to want to get these Colonnade hits in before time is called. He wants to make sure he has a chance to do lethal during turns.
Interestingly, that Condemn might have been too much. It might have put his Colonnade behind the amount of time he has to beat Kevin.
2-2 swings. Kevin is at 15. Looks like we've reached time in the round during Myles' turn. We will confirm that he is turn 0 as he passes to Kevin. Visions down to 3, 14 life points apiece. Kevin is turn 1. Snapcaster will hit back. It's Vendilion Click from Housman. He's casting it with Cryptic up.
Strong.
Is it enough damage? Unclear. Here's a Terminate on the Vendilion Click. And a Cryptic command on the Terminate. Kevin's out of gas. Counter draw for Myles.
Ugh.
So Myles will only get 2 attacks here, but Vendilion Click plus Colonnade would have worked, but Myles traded it.
I don't understand that block at all.
He could have had it. I guess he still can. He has another click. He can swing 2. No, that's not enough. He needed to not block there. Jace will draw him 1 more. Rest in peace. These are great cards, but Myles...
Well, he can crunch in for 6 on this turn, and the click makes him on 9 on the next turn, right?
Does he have the mana
for that?
Yes, but he can't. He has no counter spells to back it up. He just has to crunch, cast, and hope.
Yeah, well, he knows that Kevin has nothing now. Anything he finds has to be on the top deck.
All right. If he leaves the click around, he can do all this with counter spells up. I think that's what...
Well, here's the thing. Myles is at 0% to lose this game. So why not play for a win?
Yeah, his line, in an untimed game, his line is absolutely correct.
Yes.
Clarify, Kevin's at 15. We incorrectly had it at 14 there. That extra life point's there.
Okay, well, 6 plus 9 is still 15. Double check
so
my
you're
math.
Saying, yeah, so Colonnade plus 2.
What?
I mean, Myles is taking his draw.
I guess.
Swings for 2. Kevin's at 13. And he'll get the draw.
Yes.
But
yeah, Kevin can't win.
Kevin's turn 2. Flash Vendilion Click into play. No cards for Kevin. That's fine. But this is... We'll make sure we have our turns right here, but I believe this is turn 4. Yeah, this is Myles' last attack. And it's not enough. It's 9. Kevin goes to 4. Kevin is turn 5, so we have a draw.
Yeah.
And with Kevin's draws here, there was a chance for Myles. Yeah. Playing in the other order, I believe, does get it for him.
Yep.
But the result and the matchup sign, that is a draw.